Mercedes-Benz halted by a party secretary? A chilling signal from Beijing. In early December 2025, a shocking piece of news suddenly emerged from Shunyi, Beijing-Benz, long regarded as one of the most stable showcase joint ventures for foreign investment in China, abruptly announced a complete production shutdown with no warning whatsoever. The Mercedes-Benz logo was dismantled. More than 3,000 employees were sent home overnight, told to stand by. On social media, one rumor rapidly fermented and spread. The real trigger was a party branch secretary. That single phrase landed like a cold bullet, shattering what little illusion remained about the future of foreign investment in China. When we pull the camera back from this factory, a broader picture comes into view. Beijing, the so-called imperial capital of China, a city that should be leading the nation's economy, has in fact already begun to show signs of stalling. Even more unsettling, this chill has not stopped in Beijing. It is spreading nationwide. As year-end approaches, the unemployment wave is inevitably converging into two more direct and suffocating forces: wage arrears, protests, and return-home migration. A true winter may only just be beginning. Don't miss the next drop. Subscribe and hit the bell. The party secretary who shut down Beijing-Benz. Today, we want to talk about a story unfolding in the depths of winter. On the surface, it seems to be about shiny Mercedes-Benz cars. But what lies beneath is a deep structural crisis emerging in China's economy. The story begins in early December 2025. Those days were already cold in Beijing, but the news from Shunyi was even more chilling. Beijing-Benz Automotive Company, Limited, the joint venture between Germany's Mercedes-Benz and China's BAIT Group, suddenly announced a full production halt, with no prior notice, no transition, no warning signs. Everyone knows who this company is, a flagship joint venture, long viewed as one of the most important and stable footholds for foreign automakers in China. What followed was even more startling. At the factory gate, the iconic three-pointed star, symbol of a century of German industrial pride, was physically removed. More than 3,000 workers received notices ordering them to return home and wait. This was not reassignment, not rotating leave. This was a complete shutdown. The entire facility felt as if someone had pressed a pause button. The atmosphere could be summed up in one word: surreal. Many people's first instinct was understandable. Perhaps it was the global auto downturn, the shock from new energy vehicles, or part of Mercedes-Benz's worldwide layoffs. After all, Mercedes had already been cutting 20,000 jobs globally. But the explanation that followed completely changed the nature of the story. According to overseas media reports, including New Talk and Yahoo News, the real trigger was not market forces, but corporate governance. The Chinese side reportedly demanded that the party branch secretary formally enter the board of directors, not as a symbolic presence, but with real voting power, even veto authority. To Mercedes-Benz headquarters, this demand crossed a red line. For multinational corporations, board independence is the core of governance. Once that structure is compromised, the consequences can ripple across the entire organization. As a result, Mercedes-Benz reportedly made a hardline decision. Even at the cost of losses reaching tens of billions of yuan, it chose to terminate cooperation. These claims currently come from non-official channels, including the X account at YYYYY Talkroom. Mercedes-Benz itself and major Western media have yet to publicly confirm political factors at scale. Still, the issue has ignited fierce debate online. This incident matters not merely because one factory shut down, but because many see it as a symbol of collapsing confidence among foreign investors in China. As the factory lights went out one by one, it felt as if the city's economic heartbeat skipped a beat. Y Talkroom summed it up bluntly: 3,000 families just lost their livelihoods. Yes, while this happened against the backdrop of Mercedes' global layoffs, its impact in China felt especially heavy. The capital stalls, a chain exodus of foreign companies. If you think that story alone is cold enough, it is only the tip of the iceberg. When we widen the lens, we see that Beijing, China's supposed economic engine, has already begun to stall. This change is not written in slogans or official narratives. It seeps quietly into ordinary lives. Let me share a few stories from Beijing drifters, because they act as mirrors, reflecting the city's growing economic fatigue. One man who had drifted in Beijing for 8 years posted a video recently. He, his wife, child, and elderly mother, 4 people, were crammed into a one-bedroom apartment. His mother slept in the living room, the space packed so tightly there was barely room to turn around. They had struggled for years, hoping to upgrade to a slightly larger place. Just as they prepared to take that step forward, the company suddenly laid him off. Income vanished. Reality slammed the door shut. Choking up, he said he could no longer even support his family and felt deeply ashamed. In Beijing's service sector, wages have long dropped to suffocating levels. Delivery riders and cafe workers earning 3,000 to 4,000 yuan a month are no longer rare. After rent, food, and transport, almost nothing remains. Sales jobs are even worse. Whether real estate agents, car salespeople, or insurance brokers, base salaries are minimal or non-existent. Everything depends on commission. But who is buying homes, changing cars, or purchasing insurance now? Even civil servants, once considered the most stable group, are beginning to feel pressure. Australian-based legal scholar Yuan Hongbing revealed that in 2025, only Haidian district in Beijing could pay civil servants full salaries for the year. Other districts operated under pay 8, maybe 9 months. If even the capital's finances are this strained, the situation elsewhere is not hard to imagine. Official data deepens the contradiction. In the first 3 quarters of 2025, Beijing's GDP grew 5.5%, yet retail sales fell 3.6%, and consumer prices dropped 0.4%, brushing against deflation. Money hasn't disappeared. People simply dare not spend. In the job market, former 5-figure salaries have collapsed to 4,000 to 5,000 yuan. Anyone over 35 faces near impossible odds of finding decent work. Restaurants now sit mostly empty at night. A netizen put it bluntly. You once needed 12 parts effort just to stay in Beijing. Now even bus route 830 isn't crowded anymore. The city feels hollow. And this chill is not confined to Beijing. Across China, what many call a foreign company exodus is unfolding. On December 14th, Sony Precision Devices, Huizhou, announced its withdrawal from China, a factory operating for 29 years, affecting over 30,000 workers. Some longtime employees received compensation exceeding 200,000 yuan, yet many still wept, decades of life suddenly erased. On November 21st, Canon Zhongshan halted production, shrinking to just 1,400 employees. Toshiba Shenzhen followed similar steps. Like dominoes, one foreign firm after another fell. Unemployment, wage protests, and the return home tide. Foreign capital's retreat compounds an already fragile economy. Officially, urban unemployment stood at 5.1% in November. But beneath the surface, pressures are immense. In 2025, 12.22 million college graduates entered the job market, a record high. Employment rates hover around 60%, inflated by unstable, flexible jobs. New college graduate unemployment alone nears 5 million. Including accumulated backlog, total unemployed graduates may approach 20 million. Many turn to food delivery, ride-hailing, or become full-time children, returning home to wait. For migrant workers, factory closures and shrinking orders mean one option: go home. By year-end, unemployment converges into 2 forces: wage protests and early return migration. Construction sites across China erupted in wage protests in December. In Beijing's Shunyi district, luxury projects stood dark, while workers shouted for unpaid wages. In Zhejiang, Guangdong, Hunan, scenes repeated. At Zhongliang, Xiutai, and Changsha, workers wore reflective vests marked with 4 words: Heartless Zhongliang. This is not coincidence. It is a synchronized release of financial stress before year-end. Meanwhile, return migration has begun 3 months early. In Hengyang County, Hunan, 183,000 migrant workers returned home. 40,000 did not return to work afterward. The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs warned against large-scale migrant worker return and stagnation, a phrase that reveals deep anxiety. Because once millions lose jobs and income simultaneously, collective unrest becomes a real risk. Friends, are people around you already feeling the year-end pressure? Facing this approaching economic winter, how can ordinary people protect themselves? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's discuss together.